Hey, welcome to another edition of the liveitfull podcast. I'm Richard. I don't have a guest or Caitlin with me today in the studio. And if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram TV, you will see I am also not in anything resembling a studio. I am on my couch in my living room because this season of life has shifted some of the things that we have going on, and we are making do with what we have, which is not a bad thing. And that's a little bit what I want to talk about. As things aren't perfect, you may have just heard a message go off on my laptop because I forgot to mute it, which means you definitely understand that these are real and raw, and we try to do our best, but sometimes those things happen. But Kaylin and I, we've talked a little bit the past couple of weeks of some of the things we have going on in our lives, and we are about to start building a house, and we're going through the process of that and moving into one of our rent houses since our house is under contract. But what I want to talk about is that was a tough decision. It's something that wasn't an easy decision to make because anytime that you're faced with, do we sell our house now while the market's hot? Do we start building while lumber prices are high? You kind of go through these things and it says, is it better to wait till the house is sold? It's going to show better furnished or staged versus once we move out after the house is built. Obviously that's easier, but it's also, you don't have to move twice, but it's also can be a financial challenge if your house doesn't sell immediately. Do you make hay while it's good to do so, while the market's hot and there's multiple offers out there? And so I want to talk a little bit about how we make decisions because I think that I've in my life made a lot of poor decisions, which has helped me gain some wisdom and judgment on the some of those good things on the subject because I've done it poorly in the past. Because I think that you can rush a decision, but you can also take too long to make one. And where I used to struggle with it is I wanted a perfect plan in place before I necessarily took action, or I wanted the product in the end to be perfect before I put it out there. And I've had to learn that it's much better to have imperfect action than a perfect plan. I think it was General Patton talked about you get the troops moving because if they make a wrong turn, you can correct it on the move, but you can't correct it standing still. And that's not verbatim, but it's a little paraphrase of what he had said. And I think that's so true. You can take action and make those decisions, but sometimes you're going to be faced with big decisions to make. Maybe it's whether to start a business or go into a relationship or change careers in your 40s. Trying to figure out what you want to do in your 20s. So I want to talk a little bit about how we make the big decisions in our life because it's not easy, and it is easy to rush into things and you go, God, I should have thought about that more. But then sometimes you can metaphorically sit on the pot too long. If you ever heard the saying, poop or get off the pot. And so what I do first is I stick to our priority list, our ethos of faith, family, finance, the first three. And so what I try to do is I pray about it. I take it up to God and ask, what should I do? What is your will? Because sometimes those things we think should happen don't happen for a reason and vice versa. And so I that's the first thing I definitely recommend. Start with the faith side of it. Then ask yourself, how does this impact my family? And so the example of us building the house and selling ours now and moving into a rent house, obviously that disrupts our family some. We're going from the only house the kids have really ever known to somewhere that's not going to be a permanent place, and they know that. But the long-term gain is worth the short-term pain. But you have to ask yourself, how does this impact my family? And then the third thing I do is, how does this impact us financially? Because those are my top three things in life: faith, family, and finances. So why wouldn't I base the decisions I make on a daily basis around those things? And so how does it affect me financially? Well, right now the market's hot. Our house has sold easily off market for cash. If I delay that decision a year when our house is ready, will the market still be like this? Would I still have the same buyers interested? And so I have to ask myself, does it put us in a better or worse financial decision or situation to sell now? Well, it puts us in a better one because we know it's a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I don't know what the housing market will look like in a year. I don't know what interest rates will look like in a year. And so I know that if we can start locking anything in that we can, we're going to be better off. So when you pray about it, somehow things always, you seem to get guidance one way or the other. Put that energy out there. When you consider what's best for my family and then what's best for my finances, I don't think that you can make a bad decision. And it's that dichotomy, the word I like to use a lot, but it's that balance of not making a rash decision, trying to make an informed decision, but also taking action. There is a balance there. You don't want to wait too long, but you don't want to rush into anything either. And so I think that that's important. The other thing that I'll leave you with, and it's going to be a pretty short podcast for today, is I want you to think about every big decision you make. And I mean, I know we make like 7,000 decisions a day without thinking about it, but every big decision you consciously make, I want you to get in the habit of asking yourself, does this build or does it tear down the life I'm trying to build? And so think about that. If you're going to make a decision that goes against the life that you want, does it make sense to make that decision? And a lot of those decisions you won't even think that you're making until you take a step back and live intentionally in that decision-making process. Does the decision I make today get me further along where I want to be down the road? If it doesn't, then you really have to consider that. And that's when you go into the prayer. Does it impact my family? And how does it impact me financially? If you can go through all those three things and still feel good about a decision or have the right direction, then it's like, that's the way you go. But I just want to thank you for listening today. Like I said, this is going to be a quick one. If you like what you hear, share us on your social media, tag us, take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories. Help us help others to live it full.